the dollar value between the existing and the proposed interruptible heat, that's $17 versus $15. So it's not that much in extra dollars when you compare it to a normal city single-phase service.
Right, it's the percentage that's a big
The
increase,
percentage
but the
that's
dollars
bad,
is...
but the dollars, it's only a $2 difference between yours and mine. Your percentage looks worse, the dollars don't look that bad.
I realize that, but I'm not buying into it.
I understand. Any other questions or comments on table 1 or table 2?
The summer rate is June, July, and August.
Yes. And that matches the wholesale, matches Franklin.
I said 3 months. That's June, July, and August.
3 months, June, July, and August is summer. Everything else.
What they did was they condensed the time period, but during the day, it's from 10 to 7, or 11 to 7? 11 to 7, right. For the rate, it's the same all hours of the day during those time periods, but you're right, the power supply costs. Yeah, we're getting
Rushford
billed
is paying
higher
more
during those periods. And that doesn't include weekends.
And that's another good point on the interruptible. The interruptible used to be, I don't know, Kathy, did you do a 4 months or 6 months for winter, summer? Because some would do 6 and 6.
For winter?
Right.
June, no, for winter.
No, for winter.
Well, anyway, usually it depends upon the wholesale power costs were based more on the 6 months, 6 months. So some utilities would have their interruptibles 6 months summer, 6 months non. Some was 8 and 4. But this is actually 9 and 3. So if it was 4, you're actually getting your summer period of 3 months instead of 4. So there is a little difference there too with that.
So are we paying for Dairyland scrubber they put on?
Yeah, that's what I was going to get on to. The reason for this is basically there's a, it varies from utility to municipal how much your increase is, but the main what's driving it is environmental costs. Dairyland Power right now has spent $200 million on environmental controls, and they're expected to spend another $200 million because coal is just.
But the whole thing, they're not even using the scrubber.
There's a lot of that going on where they're actually buying power else in other places, but during the summer, they've got to have some surplus capacities. If it's during the summer, they may be using that, so that's why they have to have environmental controls. So, I'm here to give you some bad news. I'm not going to give you any better news. I might be back here next year, the year after, because there could continue to be rate increases of 4 to 5% from Dairyland Power to Tri-County for the next 3 to 5 years. So this may not be going away. So you may not be happy to see me again in the following years, unfortunately. But these are the numbers. This is what I'm trying to do. The common question, I'll get into the other thing, is that is the comparisons. How do you compare to other municipals or other utilities? And that's difficult to do. As I mentioned here, I can tell you that there's some municipals that I work with have lower rates than you do, and it could be for a couple of reasons. One is that they may have much more industrial large users, because when you sell a kilowatt hour, you usually design the rate so there's a little bit of net income in each kilowatt hour. So if you have a residential customer who's maybe using 600–700 kilowatt hours per month versus a large industrial who's 60,000 to 70,000, you can just see the extra revenue you're getting, extra net income. So some of it is due to some municipals just have some larger industrial loads. The other one is it could be due to what how much net income they want. Some municipals are in a rebuilding mode, so their rates are maybe higher than yours because they don't want to go for a bond or building reserve because they're doing a lot of improvement projects. You're kind of in the, if you look at the municipals that I work with, you're probably in the top third of the rates. You're not the highest, you're not the lowest, and you're in the higher portion. And a lot of that is due to your load is a lot of residential as compared to the whole amount, and plus you have a net income for some aggressive improvement projects. $200,000 is not a little money. You've got some pretty big projects planned here, so that's the other reason why your rates are what they are. It's because of the customer density, the type of customers you have, and your net income. And so if you go on this table 3, the next page, did a comparison between Tri-County as the cooperative. The municipal, I'm not going to tell you who that is because I didn't get permission to, this is confidential. At some point, maybe if all the municipals want me to release their information, I can do a better comparison. But if you look at, compared to Tri-County, the co-op percent, for the residential customer, you're 14 to 16% lower.
Yeah, I'll get that page.
Okay.
Copy of table 3.
I've got that on page,
Thank you.
everybody got a copy? Yeah, so let's go to page 2, the comparison on page 2 is a comparison between where you stand between the cooperative Tri-County and then another municipal. And I tried to pick another municipal that I thought was more similar to yours in terms of its, more residential than industrial, and had a similar net income as a percent of their revenue. So as far as for Tri-County, your residential customers will be paying 14 to 16% less. And the main reason for that is that Tri-County has a $32 per month base charge because they have 3 customers per mile, you have 30 customers per mile. So it's just doing the math, they have to have more equipment and facility and people to service people spread all over. So that's why you'll see the municipals, they do have one break, commercial large other, that's less than yours, and that's probably mainly due to more of an economic development. They have some of their rates where they're trying to be competitive with maybe some of the alliance or excels. The municipal customer shows that, for example, residential, you're 3.5% to 4% higher with your rates, but some of your commercial loads are actually pretty competitive. You are lower by from 3.8 to 8.8 to 2.4 in your commercial. So there it's kind of a mixed bag between the municipal. You're a little bit higher in the residential, a little bit lower on the commercial. Any questions on that or observations? And these are monthly average bills, again, comparing your rates using their average, your average usage. So when I see that, I'm not alarmed. It shows you're in the area. We'd expect you to be lower than a cooperative because your low density is higher, and I expect you to be within 5 to 10% of most other municipals, and that puts you in that range. The last thing I looked at is, how do your rate increases compare with inflation? Your last rate increase was July 2010. And I checked the CPI, Consumer Price Index, over 2 years was averaging 3.6% per year. And so, 3% per year. Your rate increases are averaging over 2 years. If you implement this rate increase, is about 3.6. So you're pretty close. However, most utilities are increasing rates higher than the rate of inflation just because right now, as we all know, coal is not a favored fuel. The Midwest heavily relies on coal, so the Midwest our rates are actually going up higher than inflation because of all the environmental controls that we're using. And plus, we're also trying to integrate, utilities are trying to integrate wind, renewables, and those really aren't saving money right now, but they expect maybe in the future. I just read an article today where with the wind and transmission upgrades in 3 to 5 years, they may actually start to stabilize and reduce rates, we're hoping. So that's the first thing I've really seen today. It was an economic study done looking at the wind integration. So maybe these renewables will actually help us in the next 5 years. So,
I had a question. That new transmission line, where's that coming from and going to?
the one for CapEx 2020,
Right.
that is coming from the Twin Cities area. It's connecting to some of the nuclear power plants and some of the wind that's coming from the west. Xcel Energy has a Buffalo Ridge. I don't know if anybody's been out there, but it's just a huge area of wind. And they've been trying to get a lot of that more towards the developed loads. So that transmission is 345,000 volts. We don't have that in this area. It's kind of, well, we do. It's more, it goes from Rochester to Byron, then into Iowa. Now this 345 is going to go from the Twin Cities over through Alma into north of La Crosse, called near the Holland substation, and that's where the 345 is going to bring a lot of this power into this area. Then it'll kind of backfeed into the Rushford and the Dairyland power source.